We're live.
Okay. All right, it's 10:31, so we'll call the meeting to order for the Joint Frontenac Accessibility Advisory Committee. We'll just go through the agenda.
Yep, so we just need a motion to adopt the agenda. So,
In a second. For three, any disclosure of pecuniary interest or general nature thereof. I think there is any. Adoption of the minutes.
so unfortunately, my computer crashed and I've lost the minutes of the last meeting. So there are no minutes to adopt.
Okay.
I could move the minutes be adopted as lost. We read those, so.
Number five, deputations or presentations. I don't think there are any.
No.
Reports to the Accessibility Advisory Committee. Did you want?
So this is just basically an update report for the committee since the last meeting. The main things on that report are the K&P Trail. So one of the things that County Council had approved earlier this year was to open up the K&P Trail to ATVs between Bell Rock Road and Craig Road in Verona. Due to some requests to have that done. So council authorized to open that up to ATVs on a trial basis, and staff are to report back to council in January. So what the manager of economic development and planning has done, the manager of economic development has put out a survey, and the link to the survey is in the report. I would encourage the committee to go ahead and fill in that survey because again, there's accessibility issues out there as well. So the survey has a couple of questions added to it in terms of that pilot project area to determine whether or not ATVs should continue to be allowed on that portion of the trail. Keep in mind that it does run through Verona. So, there's a split between allowing them and not allowing them. So from an accessibility standpoint, I would encourage the committee to go on to that survey and fill it out if they feel that there's an accessibility issue or a matter that should be identified on that portion of the trail. As well, the survey too is as well for the entire trail as well. So, you want to make sure are there maintenance issues that may affect a person with a mobility aid using the trail, anything like that you notice on the trail. I know, Chair Allen, that you're on that trail quite a bit. It is your community, so I would encourage everybody to go on and try and fill in that survey. That was the only update on the K&P Trail, other than the trail has now been completed from Charlotte Lake to Clarendon. And the accessibility signage is anticipated to be up shortly. I believe it was either this week or next week that Mr. Allen thought that would be up. The only other thing on there is of key importance is the transportation services for the County of Frontenac. I typically note this in each of our update meetings, their stats. In 2019, or for the 2020 budget, Council had made a decision to fund both transportation services for 1 more year and then end it. But due to public pressure, Council has now decided to put that as a line item in our budgets moving forward. So those two services will continue to receive funding from the county. They both provide transportation to seniors. That is the key focus of Southern Frontenac Transportation Services, and then Rural Frontenac Transportation Services provides rides to not only seniors, but other vulnerable population sectors such as persons with low income, persons with accessibility needs when they're able to assist, and they also provide road rides for outside of medical appointments as well. So there is the vulnerable sector of our population that they also assist. So they will continue to receive funding, as our two councillors know. And then the last thing on there is just our accessible document conversions. So as of January 2021, all public sector and private sector public sector organizations have to have accessible websites. And as part of that, they also have to have accessible documents on their website. So when we convert a document from Word to PDF and pop it up onto the website, it's not necessarily accessible simply because it has to be converted into a document that has a reading order. And actually, Brianna, can I maybe ask you to explain a little bit more of, we've purchased a program called Equidox, and what it does is it takes our PDFs and it converts them into accessible documents. And currently, we have hundreds of documents up on our website that we simply can't get to in time. So what we're going to have to do, unfortunately, is pull all of our documents off the website as of December 31st. And then they will slowly be added back on as we take them through this system. So I'm going to let Brianna just speak a little bit about Equidox.
So both me and Angelique at County of Frontenac have been learning Equidox slowly. We've got training through Equidox. Unfortunately, we thought it was more a system that you just kind of import the document and it tells you what to fix. But it's not like that. And documents such as budget documents and any documents in that scenario take a long time for each person to go through, especially if you're not an expert on what the content of the document is. Because it is asking you essentially a reading order, and in certain things, the images that are on the documents, you do have to specify what they are about or delete them from the document so that they do not come up on screen readers and things like that. So me and Angelique are working on it, but things, like I said, like budget documents, which we thought through the system would maybe take an hour, are taking like 3 days to go through, because you are inputting every single number and things like that so that it's reading in the order that it's reading. I do think that once we have more time to focus on it and learn the documents, I think that we will be able to become faster at it and get more documents up and when we're learning, but unfortunately right now, the documents are taking way longer than expected with like me and Angelique.
Just a quick question. So Equinox is the program that converts it so that the screen reader can read it? Is that right?
Yeah, so what happens is the document is uploaded to, and then what happens is you set like, they have kind of like a sidebar here, and you pick like the reading order of the text, you pick, if you say it's the reading order and then you're switching over to an image, what that image is, and you're putting all of the text into that, and then it's reading, so then you click it onto another screen, and it shows you how a screen reader would read it.
Okay.
And if it's in the order, and you're putting in, if it's a number 1 heading, number 2 subheading, and you have to put in all of that information per page.
I can see where that would be a challenge to try and convert a budget document.
Yeah, so that's the hard part, is when it comes into tables and things like that. Their document does read a table, but then your job is to go into that table and make sure that it's reading exactly the way someone in a screen reader would need it, the information to be dictated to them.
Through you, Mr. Chair, just wondering, how many occasions are we aware of that clients or individuals were trying to access information on the old documentation that we're not able to get the answer they were looking for? Do we have any history on that, and how is that going to correct it?
So our website wouldn't track that history if somebody were to call us and ask us for something because it's not accessible. We would track that, but we wouldn't know how many people actually go onto our website with an e-reader. It's just a login in the computer.
Follow up to you, Chair, is that I assume that because we're not in compliance because of this, that somebody must have been tracking this, that we weren't there. There's a way for them to be able to look at what we're doing and say, okay, this is what you're lacking.
No, the reason they know we're not in compliance is because I reported non-compliance. I can't lie. We are required to do reporting to the Ministry of Seniors and Accessibility every 2 years. 2019 was a reporting year. And because we had already done our website, we were required to be in compliance. So I was forced to report non-compliance simply because I know we're not in compliance. on that respect. They have been very accommodating. They do follow up with us and they do try to, find out, timelines, and they do give us the benefit of the doubt. But unfortunately, January 2021, you don't have choice. You have to be in compliance. So in order for us to stop reporting non-compliance, the decision has been made to pull the documents off the website. Now, there are many that have been done, but those that have not been done are going to be pulled off the website and then slowly put back on. Now, in that respect as well, it should be noted that we are not the only ones in this situation. I think most municipalities, Donna, you can probably speak for
I
Central.
actually reported for Central and I put non-compliance also. And I'm hoping to bring a report to council in the coming months about a program like this.
Okay.
So.
May I ask a question? How would you decide which documents to bring forward to keep immediately rather than?
So I believe we noted that in the report. So at first, the documents that we did were the ones that are legislatively required to be out there. So we are required to have our accessibility plan up there. We are required to have emergency procedures up there. We are required to have a few other documents on our website. So those were done first. And then we sent a list of documents to all of the department head and managers to say, these are the documents that are up on your website and you need to start prioritizing them. So they actually prioritized the documents as to which ones should be done first. We anticipated that this would be done quicker. It was not. So they will be pulled down. And then I believe we've noted in the report. So once everything is pulled down, we're going to have Matt Mills, our communications officer, and he's going to go through the most, because he can determine what is actually viewed on our website. So he will let us know which ones are the most viewed, and then they will get put to the top of the queue. And then as well, if we have, we're going to put a description on our website that says, these documents have been pulled if they're inaccessible. If you do require a copy, please let us know, we'll send it to you. And if it is required to be in an accessible format, then that document will go to the top of the queue. So that's, but yeah, we're certainly not the only ones going through this.
I would imagine most.
Pardon?
I would imagine most would be going to.
Most are going through this because the deadline is January 2021 for those who.
And they definitely do follow up because they give me phone calls, they
Yep.
send me emails, etc.
They do
As
that.
far as that.
I'm surprised through you, Mr. Chair, that given the pandemic, that those deadlines weren't fluid. And we're to set them back. I assure you probably will build in because everybody operating under different circumstances today.
So as members of council may be aware, we actually did receive, and I have to go through, I can certainly provide that information when I get back to the office, but we did receive a communication from another municipality who has expressed exactly that they've sent a letter to the province to say, whereas this pandemic has, it's put every staff member, their work plan has been just thrown out the window and you've been reassigned and redeployed to other duties. So they have sent a resolution to the province to ask the province to waive that deadline.
Right.
But we haven't heard anything yet coming out of the ministry. So. And I believe that was all that I had on that update report. If there were no other questions, that was the main thing. And then in terms of updates from the townships, I have provided a document for everybody. It wasn't available at the publishing of the agenda, but those are just some of the updates that have happened in Central Frontenac. I don't know, Donna, if you wanted to speak to that.
A lot of the ones near the top we've already reported on and have completed some of them. And we've got a few new ones added. Let's see, social media and website, that's a continuing ongoing process forever. Upgrades to luncheon rooms, that's more so, at the garages, yes. And our village project, it was supposed to go next year, but with COVID and everything, that actually moved up, which was a good thing. if nobody's been in the village of Charlotte Lake, please take a drive through. They've almost completed all the paving.
I think the project will be completed this year.
Yes, yes. So it's very nice. They've done an absolutely beautiful job on a lot of accessible ramps, parking, etc. that's been provided. Very good job.
Also, if I may add to you, Mr. Chair, of this particular project, the part of the village reconstruction did not include the township hall originally, but we were able to work that into the plan, and access to our township hall now is going to be much better than it was before. There's still a little bit of work to be done, but it's all paved, whereas before it was rocks and gravel and sand, and now we actually have asphalt all through there. So that was an addition which was fantastic.
So the only other report that I have on the agenda there is the Access Award. So there were 2 nominations received, which I believe were included. One was included in your package, and then the other one was sent out later that day. So the first nomination is for Kim Popovich. And she, the information is there, but she's basically doing some fundraising and working to have an accessible washroom at one of the parks in Newbury. And then the other one was for the drivers of the Frontenac Transportation Services. So again, the key thing there is that they've really stepped up to the plate in terms of assisting vulnerable residents in their community during this whole COVID thing. It included things like delivering groceries, delivering essential items. So they really stepped up to the plate, and so that's what they were nominated for. So I believe if the committee recalls, you can either choose one, or we did change the Access Award a few years ago so that we could just make this as a celebration of accessibility in which everybody's receives the award or receives the recognition. So I will leave that up to the committee. And again, this year we don't have a warden's reception, which is typically where it would have been presented. So what we have done this year is the warden is in the process of making a warden's video. It's a 2020 year-end recap, which will replace the warden's reception. So we would recognize both of these nominees in that video as well. And we can certainly put both names on the plaque, or we can just put one, so it would be the community's call.
Well, it might be nice to have, but I mean, everyone too. Hit the rough year. Maybe it would be nice to recognize both.
Mr. Chair, I agree with that. That's right.
It'll be easier to vote.
Okay. So then we would just have a resolution that Kim Popovich and Frontenac Transportation Services be jointly selected as the 2020 recipients of the County of Frontenac Celebration of Accessibility Award. So I just need a mover and a seconder for that. And a seconder? Councilor McDonald?
Great.
And you just need to call the question, all in favor.
Oh, yeah, all in favor, right. So in regards to the township update.
Yeah, so John has already provided hers, and I didn't receive anything from the other townships, but it was left to last minute, and of course, Eric did provide his regrets. He wasn't able to get anything to us. There was no updates from South Frontenac at this time, and Frontenac Islands did not respond.
Okay.
Margaret, do you have anything happening on that you're aware of?
That I'm aware of, about with the construction of the new docking facility, one can presume that there are expectations that there will be routes of entry for those who are disabled. At this time, however, just looking at the picture of the design of the new dock, it's going to be a long walk wherever one gets to. So that is a concern of mine, and it will still retain the hills, so that if you're a pedestrian, a disabled pedestrian, I think it will be very, very awkward. I have to say that my husband and I have sold our home in Wolfram and are now living in the city of Kingston, and I'm hoping to become a member of their disability. So at this time, I'm formally saying what a privilege it was for me to serve on this committee for the township of Wolfram, for Wolfram particularly, and for Frontenac Islands entirely. It's been a pleasure, Neil, to serve under you. And I look forward to continuing my interest in the needs of the disabled in the future. And thank you very much for having me on your committee all these years.
Your insight has always been very, very helpful.
Thank you very much.
I'm sure the Kingston,
It's been a real pleasure, I'll tell you. I've learned so much from all of you that I didn't know before, and I'm much more aware. My disability is easy compared to so many others, whether it be heart or physical or whatever it is. So that this experience for me has really forced me to think about how I can be better informed and a stronger voice in the future. So thank you again.
Well, Margaret, it has certainly been a pleasure working with you, and I'm going to so miss you, but I do have your phone number in Kingston, so I will stay in touch. Is there anybody that you're aware of on the islands that may want to?
I was going to discuss it with Darlene at some point. They just had a council meeting last month or this month, and I'm hoping that they discussed it because they knew the predicament that I was in. I'm no longer a resident, and our house has been sold.
Yeah.
But I'm still a resident until the 18th of November, 19th of November, when the deal is completed.
Well, I'm excited to give the Kingston might to other communities that because I'm sure they'll want to talk.
Yeah.
Apparently there are 15 spots open in Kingston, and I hope to apply to their committee in the next day or two.
Great.
So I had the privilege of working with the Accessibility Advisory Committee for the City of Kingston when I worked at the city. And they're a very active group as well. And really want to make sure that their city is accessible to everyone.
There's a lot that needs doing, there's no question.
Yeah, I think one of their biggest issues, and you faced it on the island as well, are the heritage buildings that are downtown, but it has been shown that, they can work, so. I give you a hug, Margaret, for trying to do that.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. Next, I do not have any communications or other business. Our next meeting.
So we can leave the next meeting at the call of the chair if that works for everybody. I don't know what January is going to bring. I don't know if we're right now very able to do this. I don't know what January is going to bring though. So if we want to just leave it at the call of the chair, and then so typically we're every 3 months. So if I can find a spot in January, if it's working, then I can certainly send out a notification to to the members as well. And typically, we would meet in the South Frontenac Council chamber, but they had some training today, so if I give them enough notice, we can go back into there, which works maybe a little bit better than this one, it's a little bit bigger, so.
We'll adjourn then, can I get a motion? Adjourn. Second. And all in favor? It's not that.